Okay. According to this, we're live. I'm gonna do that thing that I do though, where I go.
Check it.
Yeah, I forgot. I gotta go get my other phone. And we listen to what is that? Chill instrumental beats, right? Yeah, this is that playlist I liked quite a bit. Okay. According to this, we're live. If you monitor this in case somebody besides a bot shows up, I'm gonna go get my phone real quick.
All right.
Oh man, I'm getting stoved up, big dog.
Stoved up.
Today's workout, I lifted heavier than I have on
yeah.
chest in a really long time because I've been babying that shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Oh, and what's weird is just the weirdest shoulder pain. I don't know. It's odd. My shoulders hurt before, but it's like the pressing moves don't hurt it in a traditional fashion. Okay, well. Alright, well, I'll go to X real quick. Let's see if I can see this. I don't even know if I follow ours, so...
I don't know why that's hilarious to me, but it's like I don't, but just thought you did. I want to.
I don't. Something's wrong here. My phone ain't working. Hold on a second. Oh, I'm on the dumb Wi-Fi. Alright, let's try this out. Is it working? According to this, I am live, but I can't get my phone to work to save my life right now. What in the world? Hope it's live. Let's see here. Stream quality is great. No drop frames. This straight up isn't working. I'll restart my phone. What's populating, bro? What are you doing? You're working on an anime guy.
Yeah, I'm just making an anime character today. Taking a nice little break from the really serious, like mentally intensive practice of trying to get my hand studies back to snuff and doing something a little bit more fun just so that I can, I don't know, have a little fun. You know how it's like sometimes you do your workouts, and then one day you're like, dude, I just need to go in there and get just a vanity arm pump for morale. That's basically what I'm doing today.
It's funny, the whole time you were talking about that, I was flexing into the camera because my arm looks huge when I do that.
It's hilarious.
Oh, it popped.
Yeah. No, this character, the character that I'm drawing is from that Japanese anime. It's called My Hero Academia, but it's essentially like the Japanese version of X-Men. I think I've told you about it, where people start popping up and they don't call them like powers or mutations or anything.
Yeah.
They call them quirks, which
Okay.
I learned something weird, by the way, about watching anime, because I used to watch what's dubbed, which is where they actually have English voice actors record the lines. I watched dub for a long time because anything with subtitles, I get too distracted constantly reading the subtitles and I don't watch. And half the fun of watching anime is seeing all the art. But then I got really into a couple of them, and I really wanted to know where the stories went, and they released the subbed, which is subtitled version of it, like 2 weeks before they released the dubbed version of it. So I had zero patience with it, so I just started watching the subtitled. And in the subtitled, for instance, I was just watching this solo leveling one that I told you about, where the guy's like leveling up because he's like, the world's like a video game to him now.
That's the one. Okay. See, I thought I was thinking that this.
No, this is not this guy. But the solo leveling one I was watching, and he was creating a name for a character that he has the ability to, like, whenever he defeats a guy, he can resurrect them and then give them a name, and they're like his soldier now. So in the subtitled version of it, he called this guy, I think it was Tusk. And like, that's what because he's an orc and he has these big tusks. So he goes, I can't remember what you said your name was before we started fighting, so I'm just going to call you Tusk. And so that's what he inputs his name in as, because a little screen will even pop up and he has to fill it out like it's a video game. And but whenever they dubbed it, he called him Fang. And I was like, that's weird. Why would they change that?
Oh, it's a translation thing.
Yeah, so there's certain things that are really interesting because there's like translation differences.
Okay. Sorry, my mind was in a little bit of a different spot. We're working according to my research.
Okay, cool.
I'm chilling, man. I don't feel the necessity to play the guitar right away because there's not much going on. So you know what? I'm gonna just chill out and take advantage of that. I gotta be careful. Once this 600 milligrams of ibuprofen kicks in, I'm gonna turn into a blob. Now all of a sudden, after dinner, my brain is like, man, I indulge myself every now and then with what I consider to be the most superior candy bar on planet Earth. And that is they only sell them in king size, I believe. Those Snickers that come in 4 sections that are made with real peanut butter. Man, have you had those?
Yeah, I have. Those are actually
really good. Criminally delicious.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I think I'm approaching the 100-pound dumbbells again for chest press. I'm gonna back off because of the way my shoulder actually feels right now. Man, see, this is what's weird is I didn't work out Tuesday, I didn't work out Wednesday. We went and saw Meshuggah. My shoulder hurt bad at Meshuggah.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that a couple times. Like you were.
Know what?
What?
Just dawned on me. I'm wondering if it's heavy RDLs pulling me down, because now I'm thinking about when I'm standing at the concert, my arm hurts. When I'm outside of my workout, my arm hurts. And if the pressing isn't necessarily, it hurts, don't get me wrong, but you know how like when you feel like it's actually your rotator cuff or it's from your pressing, it really is like ding, 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 like alarm bells. This is a different kind of pain. I'm wondering if it's that RDL. I think I'm going to take a break from the RDL for a little bit. Because every time I go to do RDLs at the gym, every other week I feel like somebody's making a comment about, you do 315 for reps? And I'm like, to me, the people I follow, that's like child's play.
Yeah.
But I guess I forget that I've been doing it for so long, like that's strong to the average bear. 315 for 6 to 8 reps for 3 sets on RDL is hefty.
Yeah, I told you I got really addicted to doing them with dumbbells. So I get my wrist straps and I'll put the hundos in each hand. And I did that today. And dude, I just do 10 reps of it, but it feels so good, dude.
I love RDLs. I had that talk I think we talked about that last week, but I don't care. Nobody watched it, so we're going to talk about it again. Burrow's really into that. He really likes them, and we had a nice talk about. I don't know what it is. It gives me the scratches the itch of a deadlift, but a traditional deadlift, something about it feels less brutal. But when you think about it, it's actually super hard because you're doing a deadlift you don't ever put down. And you start, it's just something about starting it from the top, I think, matters. I don't know. But oh man. Yeah, it's kind of distracting me, to be honest with you. I don't know how much it stinks because this affects guitar playing for sure. I'm gonna do this like an old man for a minute. Oh,
dude, my shoulder. I know what my problem is. There a while ago when I was doing shoulder presses, I messed up that area back, like right here.
Yeah.
And I still have problems with it. It doesn't matter how much I stretch or roll out or massage it or ice it. It's just giving me problems, which is why I think that there might be some sort of pinched nerve issue that I'm dealing with there. Yeah. Which, at the end of the day, I think if I just drop enough weight, it'll almost go away, I think some of it is just because for the last, couple of years, I've been sitting heavier than I usually do.
Gotcha. What's your weight right now?
I'm like 235, 240. Which, like I said, I think that if I were down at like 210, that I would be pretty much as happy as could be with. But yeah, I don't.
210 would be pretty lean for you, I think.
That's what I think. Yeah, which I think would be really good for like those ailments. You know what I mean? To sit a little heavier, or to not sit a little heavier like that.
So, my eating is really doing well. I only missed 3 days, and when I tell you I missed 3 days, it really wasn't that bad. It was like I missed a serving of vegetables, or I didn't eat a serving of fruit on my off days. Like he said, don't. After a long talk about diet, he was like, I think you just need to focus on eating 3 meals that are essentially the same, not the same food, but the same macro profile. So while the evidence is very clear that even when you experiment with people that do a 20-hour fast, even to where they eat only 4 hours of the day, that you can eat large boluses of protein and your body will still absorb it. For a long time, the conventional wisdom was that if you had more than 40 grams or so, that your body couldn't absorb that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not peeing it out, they found out, and you're actually using it if you need it. Along with the other nutrients, as long as you need it, it seems like your body's gonna grab it.
Yeah.
Well, while that is true, I think that there is a different effect to eating at the same times every day now, going into my 3rd or 4th consecutive week. I think I'm going into my 3rd. I'm in the tail end of my 3rd consecutive week of eating at basically a little bit before 7, right before I clock into work. I show up to work and immediately eat, essentially. And then I eat around 11 or noon, and then I eat a snack before the gym, and then I eat dinner at around 5 or 6, and I'll typically drink some protein before bed. In those meals, I'm getting a fist and a half of protein source. I'm getting a fist of some kind of vegetable, typically broccoli, and then a lot of sweet potatoes lately. I got to add them back. I didn't want to burn myself out, so I kind of ate more rice this week, but I got to add them back because I really like the nutrients that gives me, and I can kind of tell they're not there in the diet this week. So by eating that, what I'm noticing is it definitely creates a more even hormonal environment for me. So as far as, insulin production, the hunger signals are more reliable. Food is giving me energy with these meals. My mood is a little more stable and predictable. My workouts are getting better. It's easier to stay more. There's something, I think, hormonally about your body liking a consistent pattern. It's getting to a point to where it's like, okay, he eats at this time, he eats at this time, he eats at this time, and it's everything that I want every time that he eats. Is doing something. So I used to not really think that was important, but it's not important if you just isolate calories in, calories out. Am I getting enough protein?
Yeah.
Where it matters is, I think, actually in the consistent blood sugar levels and the regularity of nutrients. So I'm learning that, man, maybe this, if I would have done this from the beginning, maybe this would have worked a little bit better. But I'll tell you what, man, I'm holding 215 better than I ever have. And I'm shocked. I think I'm going to end up at around 200 pounds.
Nice.
And be in the shape that I want to be. I thought I was going to be closer to 180, 190. Now, if I got on a bodybuilding stage, it would probably be true. When you're talking about seeing striated glutes and insane calf or insane quad separation.
Yeah.
But that's really not my goal. So I think that I'm excited that my goal is going to be that I end closer to 200 pounds. I didn't think I was going to be sitting at close to 200 pounds with this much muscle sitting on my frame, which is awesome. Because yeah, if I could lose, man, even just 10 pounds of fat, I feel like would be tremendous. Because you ever remember that thing going around? It's been several years where they show you what 5 pounds of fat looks like.
Yeah.
If I could lose 10 pounds of fat, that'd be it, man. That'd be all I need. So yeah, now that we get the IG rolling, we'll finally get some B rollage going. We'll finally get some like posts. So like you could post on like Friday at noon or something in your story on there. You know, live stream at 7:30 p.m. tonight. And you might get
some people check it out.
We might eventually start getting some people checking it out. I was looking, so when you go to make a reel, and let me know what you decide to do this, because I really like this idea, and I think that it's worth doing. Instead of trying to use original audio, because that doesn't crack the algo, I will play improv guitar over trending audio.
Okay.
So that when you go to put it in the reel, my audio matches the song, but then the person is getting the trending audio, and it gives the illusion that because I am playing over the trending audio. I'm noticing what there's a couple of things that thrusts you into the algo, and that is the use of the trending audio. Seems to be how a lot of these people are breaking through and getting visual, getting the visuals on it. Anyways, I've talked for like 10 minutes straight.
Talking about glycogen.
If I turn it, look at you.
Dude, I was watching that video about Wake Island before I got here. Because I was like, I remember that being so like hardcore, like crazy, but I didn't remember like all the details of what started it. So Wake Island was like closer to Japan than it was America, but America, it was in the Pacific and America was like there. And the whole thing was that Japan wanted it, but we had it. And so when they attacked Pearl Harbor, like we came out and we're like, hey, be ready. And they were severely like outmanned, so that a bunch of the engineers that were on the island were like, hey, train us to fight. So the Marines that were there started training them to fight. And when the Japanese kind of showed up, they had sent bombers through to just bomb the island. They just bombed the island for 24 hours. And they thought that they knocked out all of its artillery. And so then they started sending all their like boats in to like breach the beach. And when they got into range of the artillery that was on the island, the guy in command was like, don't fire yet. Wait to fire. And the Marines were like really confused because where they were at, there was like bullseye. Like they could hit, he's like, where these people were at, the Marines could put a shell through a bedroom window at that range. And he's like, so they were really confused why they didn't fire. Well, what the commander knew was that the boats that were offshore, like the battleships, outranged the artillery on the island. And at this point, he knows that the only reason that they're trying to land is because they think all the artillery is taken out from their bombing runs. And the fact that they haven't opened fire yet is confirming that for him. So he's trying to draw them in so that when they start opening fire, if they try and retreat, they're still in the line of fire for a long time so that they won't start bombing them from the battleships. So they get in. He goes, the guy said, when they were given the order to fire, they were at what a Marine with an artillery gun would consider point blank range. Any closer and they would have probably tried to fix a bayonet to it. And he's like, so they lit them up. And not only did they light them up, they sunk one of the Japanese battleships with 2 shots. And it only took them 12 minutes. And he said this so far was the first loss that the Japanese Navy had under its belt. And it's the first ship that they lost and everything. And he's like, and then he goes, during the Japanese retreat, there was 8 planes, Wildcats or whatever, that hadn't actually been bombed, that the Japanese didn't bring any aircraft carriers and didn't have any air support. So they sent those Wildcats out there because the bombing run that the Japanese did came from an island. And so that they went back to that island. So when the Japanese, they were retreating, they sent those Wildcats out there, and there was a guy, his name is like insane. I can't remember it, but he's got one of those nicknames that just makes him sound like an absolute legend. He took down one of the battleships because he put they were dropping fire bombs on him, and he put one on the ship, and he pinpointed it, just pure luck, on where they store their depth charges, and it blew the whole ship up. Wow. Yeah, and the guy was like, this is essentially like killing a grown man with a BB gun. He's like, that's what he did. And then
David and Goliath moment.
Yeah, so then and that was just like the tip of the iceberg for it, but no Americans died in that initial salvo, and they estimated about 300 Japanese did. And so it was like, that was the first loss that they had taken in World War II. And so that was like monumental. And plus this is coming after.
Is that when they sunk their flagship cruiser? Is that?
Possibly.
Because Japan was flexing and they had like a super superior ship out there, and we ended up sinking it, and that was a humongous demoralization.
Maybe.
I figured it would have been in the story. That would have been a point you remembered.
Well, he didn't. I mean, it still goes on from there too. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that happens after that, because after that they end up calling back to that island and having their bombers end up bombing for 10 days straight, every day for 10 days, bombing the island again. But because of the way the island's set up and the way they have their defenses, it doesn't really do much. And so, and then they end up invading again. But when they invade, something happens and they knock out communications. And so nobody really knows what's going on, but everybody's just fighting. And so I think they ended up surrendering maybe at one point, but that was out of confusion because they didn't realize that they were actually winning. because they had lost communication with their commanding officer.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Thank goodness I didn't have to live through any of that.
Yeah, same. Scary stuff, man.
Interesting. I heard a factoid I haven't looked into yet, but I briefly saw on the internet rumblings about that the CIA had secretly spent 10 years looking for Noah's Ark.
Dude, there's a lot of stuff like that. Like the Nazis apparently were actually looking for like the Holy Grail and stuff like that. But that word's probably gonna get us pinged. I didn't even think about that.
It's all right.
But
It just sounds like it's a hard shift.
yeah. But like a lot of World War II era powers were actually looking for like the Holy Grail, or like it wasn't as many eggs wasn't put in that basket as like a lot of Hollywood or even like internet people would like you to think.
Yeah.
But it's one of those deals where they kind of were like, dude, I don't know, go check it out. And if you find it, cool. If you don't, we knew you weren't going to find anything.
Yeah. I also saw a story of an Israeli toddler, or well, she's a little older than that, I guess. Found some kind of artifact just sitting out in the open. And it's this little bitty medallion looking thing, and supposedly people are intrigued by it because I didn't finish reading it clearly, but it had some kind of historical reference and presence for biblical times that people were pretty stoked about.
Interesting.
Yep. And I finally heard somebody float the idea that did the localized or global flood potentially bury the thing that was underneath the pyramids. I had wondered that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't prove that. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I did finally see somebody out in the wild mentioning that.
Not to be like a hater, but everything that I've seen so far about like what they've found, all the renderings that people are putting out there are completely...
It's very overblown.
Yeah. What, have you actually seen what the thing like saw?
Yeah, it's you don't know what it is.
You know, it's just kind of like a hot spot. Like it's just red.
Yeah.
And I also have like that b-hole skeptic of me is that what if that's just what LiDAR does in sand? Because sand is like static to sonar.
You would think that they would have controlled for that already.
You'd think, but there's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things that they run out with evidence for, and then they realize later, oh, like that's just because of this, that, or whatever. So that's the knowing that from past things is the only reason that I'm that kind of skeptic about. Like when I saw it, I want to see more. I don't know. I don't want to say proof because it's not like I'm even qualified to say with LiDAR that it is that, you know, like I don't know that much about LiDAR. I'm just saying that's possible.
I'm old enough to just to add some support to what you're saying. I'm old enough and I've seen enough with science that I will say this is that I've seen them say a definitive and then a few years later, oh, never mind. Enough. I've seen that enough now at this point that where it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
If they came back and they're like, we made a boo-boo. We made boo-boo.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah. I don't like the mindset. And I think it's getting better. It was really bad when we were growing up where people were just really locked into science discoveries being infallible. And now I think we're getting a little bit better even with the common man of yeah, let's let that have some time to cook.
Let's let it breathe.
Let's give that some time to cook before we, we like what we see. It's intriguing, but we need some time to cook.
Yeah.
We need some time to cook. I think that Profen's getting ready to kick in.
Profen.
Man, how good was Meshuggah?
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. Like I said, I'm glad that I went and saw them a second time because the first time you took me, like I didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
And this second time, being able to actually know several songs that helped. And then also knowing how they sound. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, like the only thing that keeps me from like constantly listening to them is just the vocals are very like, I really like more emotional vocals that have a lot of different like, like Jake from August Burns Red, even his scream, even though it has a specific texture, sometimes he pulls back a little, sometimes, and like, because I think punk music is my initial influence, like I've gravitated to stuff like that more. But that drummer is insane.
He's so good.
He's insane, dude.
He's so that it's just and now that you've seen several metal bands,
Oh yeah.
you can really start to appreciate just how technical and how good was that Lethargica song, bro.
Oh, dude.
That's when they're going bum bum da dun 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 dun. Oh, it was so heavy. No, I mean, you're not wrong. We don't listen to Meshuggah for the vocals. That's a musician's metal band.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a guitar player.
Not that he's not like good for what he's doing, you know what I mean? But that's just the reason I don't.
So you'll understand this a little bit more about him. None, Destroy, Erase, Improve, Chaos Sphere albums. He had a little bit more of what you're talking about, but he kind of damaged his voice because his style was utterly brutal.
Oh yeah. I also didn't know, because that's the other thing is,
And
he's got a very specific accent.
Yeah, my coworker says that the Norwegian guys that I listen to sound like AI voices.
That's actually really funny. I've never thought about that.
And he kind of does.
Yeah, they kind of do.
How are you? Yeah. That's part of it. He had a very aggressive. I'll play it for you after the stream because we'll get probably copyright dinged. Of like a real quick clip of him in the studio, and you can see like how aggressive and very violent his style used to be. And from what I understood is he damaged his voice or realized he couldn't keep up with it on tour, and he went and got some vocal coaching and locked into what you hear now, which is a really good representation of what he sounded like, but it's very controlled so that he could continue to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he was going to be able to continue to do.
You had mentioned that, like, giving that advice to young guys in metal is that, like, you got to make sure that what you do,
You got to be
you
able
can
to do
reproduce live and for a long time.
You got to be able to do it. I mean, as much as we love KKTX, that's my biggest gripe with that guy. And he would probably try to shoot me for saying it. So hopefully this never gets popular enough for him to see, but because I'd also be, my feelings would be hurt if Matt was mad at me. But it just, I don't think he can reproduce it live. And to me, that's a thing that you have to, and he's going to fire back, and he's right. He's not wrong by mentioning this. Well, you go do a tour.
Yeah.
And go do this day in and day out and see how well you could do it. Oh, yeah, for sure. But I also probably wouldn't go into the studio
And record in a way
that was like,
I lost it after 2 nights.
That's kind of what Meshuggah had to face the music on. The guy from Lamb of God had to face the music on. So, but now as for the record sounding, I mean, the KKTX vocals are just, in my opinion, some of the best right now. That what he sounds like on the record. But unfortunately, the last couple times we see him, he does 40% of the song.
Yeah.
And doesn't sound like the record. So, man, I almost decided to get last-minute tickets to August Burns Red, but I can't. We got family birthday parties that night.
Yeah, I like seeing them live so much, but just where I'm at right now, I gotta go to less shows, and I gotta go to, I haven't even gone to a hockey game yet this year, and then the season's almost over. Like, I just gotta tighten the belt a little bit.
I feel you.
So I saw them pop up. There's actually 2 bands that I saw. So I actually really wanted to go see Spirit Box.
Yeah, when's that?
That's already passed. Or no, that's not. That's at the end of this month.
Okay.
So it was the 28th or something like that. I think. So it's at the end of this month, but
I
it's
would've
sold
gone.
out.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say I would have. Was it the factory?
Yeah, I think it's a factory.
I would have gone to that probably.
Yeah.
I would.
That's the thing is like I've told you about them too, is like I like her singing a lot. I like her screaming half as much. But they write some riffs, dude.
Yeah.
Like they write some riffs. Like I had liked what was that song of theirs? Holy Roller, I think.
I think it's a song.
That song, I had liked that. And that was kind of my only thing with them. And then you showed me that Cellar Door song.
Yeah, that riff.
Oh. And then so I was like, okay, maybe I do just need to listen to one of their albums end to end. And so I listened to an album end to end, and I found like 4 songs on it that were really good. And then the newest one that they just released, there's probably like 4 songs on it that I really, so like to put out like 3 albums and have at least 4 songs on every album that I really like.
That's great.
That's pretty good in my book.
To be honest with you, most albums you're getting 2 songs, 3 maybe, but to say you like 4, that's fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, even like an August Burns Red album, I like that band. But there's 2 albums of theirs that I like end to end, and it's Messengers and Found in Faraway Places.
Mine is Your Little Suburbia.
Oh yeah,
Is that the name of that album?
I think that one is Thrill Seeker.
Thrill Seeker, that's what it is. It's got that song.
It's got that song on it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Thrill Seeker, because that was my introduction to him, and then Messengers is just what a sophomore album.
Yeah.
Just, what an album. I mean, if I had to make like a list of, because have you ever heard that trope in music? The sophomore album is usually the band's greatest achievement.
What's funny is in sports, it's the opposite. If people have a really good rookie year, they always say they're going to have a sophomore slump.
Yeah, I have heard that. I would put them above even Metallica as far as having a sophomore album that
was that good.
Yeah. Because now I just talk about, dude, I've had a lot of musical hot takes on this one. I really hope people don't see this, because that's going to get me massacred by dudes my age.
Yeah.
They're going to be mad that I said that. But Ride the Lightning didn't move the needle for me like Master of Puppets. And Master of Puppets is the third one. Kill 'Em All sounds like a completely different band. And then Ride the Lightning, they sound like the way old school Metallica. And that seems to be everybody's favorite. And in my opinion, it's okay. I don't know, something about it is oddly corny to me, and it never did grab me. But Master of Puppets and Justice for All are 2 of the greatest metal albums ever written. It's hard for someone used to modern metal production to get used to the way those sound, because they're old and made in the 80s. But, bro, from like a guitar player standpoint, they do so many things that they did on that album. Metal bands to this day still do. They invented the breakdown. 1 was the first time anyone matched the kick drum and the guitar going like that is iconic. That's the first time that happened, and now that's a staple. You're not a metal band if you don't do that.
Like every metal song has to have. Where's the breakdown? What's the breakdown sound like?
Metallica did that. Metallica 1 changed the game forever. I mean, that's what Meshuggah basically is born from, that sound. And if there's a torch that's being passed, it was Black Sabbath to, in my opinion, Metallica to Meshuggah, of who's carrying the mantle of the forward progression of metal. I don't know what's next. We may have peaked, unfortunately. I don't know where else it goes. So we'll see. The hardcore guys are trying to force their hand, but in my opinion, I don't think it's going to work, because hardcore already had its moment, and it didn't stick once already, and now it's trying to come back.
Yeah, and I also think maybe you can explain this better to me, but a lot of the bands that are coming out as hardcore, I think only half of them are really actually what I remember hardcore to be.
Yeah, hardcore was Hatebreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like almost like trash can garage band.
Yes. It's dirty.
aggression. Yeah,
it's
like
unedited. It's dirty.
like I wouldn't even consider Everybody Says Knock Loose as a hard. I don't even really think that.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, Kubla Khan, Texas, I consider to be metal, but I get why people think they're hardcore.
I think they're more hardcore than Knocked Loose.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah,
But I derailed myself, which is the sophomore Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
I will say that. Yeah, I will say that August Burns Red takes that over Metallica, even his first sophomore album. Now, Lamb of God's sophomore album is a force to be reckoned with, and I actually place it a little bit above August Burns Red sophomore album because that thing is just triumphant. As the Palaces Burn is unreasonably epic. I think I like every song on that album. Another band that did really well. Now, see, Meshuggah is so hard. You've noticed I haven't mentioned them. As a matter of fact, I got to pull up their discography to make sure I get this even correct. I can't even spell right now. Let me go to the wiki. That's the better way to go. There's their discography. Okay. So technically because they had an EP that came out and then Contradictions Collapse. And Contradictions Collapse kind of has some of the EP in it. So technically Destroy, Erase, Improve is their sophomore. I would say that that sophomore album rivals August Burns Red. Depending on my mood, I might give it to ABR actually over Meshuggah sophomore.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
like that's a lot of my musical opinions too are very consistent with how I feel a certain day. Because like
it's kind of
there's wiggle room.
Feely.
Yeah, there's wiggle room.
Music's kind of feely.
I would never. Well, I will die on some hills. Don't get me wrong, and I'll die on a molehill sometimes. But there's certain like music, a lot of music opinions I have that I'm not gonna put my flag in that because it's like, yeah, you're kind of right.
There ain't no way.
What?
Catch 33 only sold 7,000 units in the U.S.? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Nothing was their highest selling album? Wow. So Destroy, Erase, Improve. I don't want to say it's as good as Lamb of God's. I still think Lamb of God's sophomore album, that might be the one so far. Now, Chaos Sphere is the third album. That's on par with, that's as defining as Master of Puppets because Meshuggah managed to make an album so aggressive, so primal, so heavy in 1998 and so unique that they haven't even made Destroy, Erase, Improve, and Chaos Sphere. They have never made, no other metal band on earth has made metal music like that. They haven't even done it, which is wild. Like I felt like whole genres could have been made from that, and they just popped up and went away. It was this odd bridge between thrash music and what Meshuggah to be now, and it was so epic. But Chaos Sphere is, my gosh,
dude. The other thing that I want to praise their capabilities with too is that even if you don't like them, that was a pleasurable experience of a show because the lights were. I've never seen a metal band with that cool of a light show.
Yeah. If we were gonna have taken your friend to a show.
That'd be it.
That would have been the one.
Because
The light show would have locked them in.
yeah, that's on par with what we saw from the Sullivan King.
I agree. It was, and it's a really good play by them. That was very smart because they're old and they could stand still now. And when we used to go see them back in the day, they were crazy on stage because that was kind of their thing. But see, Lamb of God falls off at album 3. August Burn Red peaked. Kill Switch Engage, I think as Daylight Dies, I think that's what the third album. Their sophomore album was really good. Their first 3 albums are just solid, man. Kill Switch Engage, they're just solid. My favorite band probably right out of the gates album-wise, and they didn't ever do anything past this really in my opinion, which is sad, was the metalcore band It Dies Today.
Oh, yeah.
Their first album is triumphantly incredible. And then that was it. What I really respected about them was they would have songs where it was like full on, we're going to do radio hit sound. But then they would do songs where full on, it's like the only thing that you're getting ready to experience for 3 minutes is breakdown and screaming. There's going to be no melodies. I'm not going to sing to you. This is just a straight up metal song. And I really, really appreciated that about what they were doing to metalcore at the time. As I Lay Dying, none of their albums have really grabbed me. Songs grabbed me, but not albums.
Their only album that it was funny because my brother bought it on CD, and I ended up listening to it just as much as he did. And to this day, it's probably one of my favorite metalcore albums. Is An Ocean Between Us.
It's a pretty good album. I'll give you that.
And I'll give you that there is like if you break the album down into fourths, the first 2/4 of it are phenomenal.
Yeah.
The third fourth of it is like, you kind of lose me. And then it ends, I think, on a really cool song. I think it's called This Is Who We Are. Love that song. Because that's the one where he actually sings, no, this is how we are.
That might be the bass player.
Yeah.
Okay, the bass player typically did their clean vocals. Cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other. A band that you probably never heard of. Another debut album that was really good was American Head Charge.
Sounds amazing.
That band, they got taken off Spotify, and I'm super sad.
I've noticed a lot of people take themselves off Spotify.
I think they had a dispute with a record company. I believe they were trying to come back, and they've had some issues. That debut new metal album was fantastic, but Nothing Face's sophomore album beats out August Burns Red in my book. It beats out Metallica even, sophomore album in my book. Now, when I say this, I'm not saying like I like one of these albums better than the other necessarily. It's more so what I thought the band was doing artistically and how they represented the band.
Yeah.
And how defining it was for that band. And in my opinion, if you're going to listen to new metal, I'm going to give you that one. And most people, unless you're my friend, didn't really pay attention to that band. Didn't know who they were. In my opinion, that's just the best new metal band because they're not cringy. Everybody thinks of new metal as Limp Bizkit, Korn, and you get a mixed bag of this is cringy, this is cool. No one talks about Nothing Face, and it's a shame.
I think you've showed me them several times.
Yeah, I absolutely have, because that album Violence. See, I get in arguments with true Nothing Face fans, the few that I know, and they like the first album a lot better, the Audio Atrocities, Everyday Audio Atrocities, and it's good. But man, Violence is just so well done front to back. Every single song on that album rips. And I think I'm going to put it ahead of even Lamb of God. I may have found a one that might be the top slot. I'll put it ahead of Meshuggah's Destroy, Erase, and Prove also. Again, I listen to Meshuggah more than any of these other albums I've mentioned to you. More than Ride of Lightning, more than Messengers, more than just because they're my favorite band. But again, that criteria was how did it define the band,
right?
And that just Nothing Face was set in stone on that. If I stick with that criteria and remove how much I listen to it, I gotta put Into Heartache, Killswitch Engage in there. Honestly, that needs a. Now that I'm talking about this more, that needs a stronger position.
Yeah.
Because it really set that band's sound for, well, until now. You know, it really did. I'm trying to think of what other bands.
How they navigated through that singer change too, I think is because you talk about all these other bands and they pretty much were stable through most of their albums, but for Killswitch they kind of like built themselves, and then all of a sudden that guy leaves, and so then a decent stretch of their lore is with a completely different vocalist.
Yeah, didn't Adam mention that at the show? Or he's like, and you guys just kind of accepted us anyways, and we're thankful. Yeah, it just, I think because they didn't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
It just worked.
Yeah.
You know?
Which, there's bands like, I think, have you heard what 3 Days Grace has been doing? So you know what they sound like, obviously, because they have that iconic sound. Well, that singer left the band in like 2016, 2015.
Okay.
And they got a new guy, which he didn't sound terrible. They had very similar, like, their music still sounded like their music. It just, if you look up, well, I don't know, you can't play it right now. So.
No, I'm not going to copyright strike us.
Yeah.
We need all the help we could get.
Yeah, they had a song called "Car Crash" that actually I really liked with the new singer, and then recently within the last year, the old singer was like, "Hey, I'm coming back," and they were going to go on tour, but they still had a great relationship with the guy that picked up for him, so they just went on tour with both singers, and I was like, "That's interesting."
Killswitch has done shows with both singers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they haven't done tours. They've like Howard will show up and do a show. One night I was playing and Howard Jones's other band was playing next door to us.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it until later, but so I'm looking at Fear Factory because the demanufactured shirt is the shirt I always wear to my metal shows now.
Yeah.
That's their second album. That's got to go on my sophomore Hall of Fame also, and it will, I think it goes above ABR and Killswitch, even. But I can't put it above Lamb of God or Destroy, Erase, and Prove, maybe. I don't know. This is getting really hard.
I love this.
Obsolete, though. I mean, just as far as John lore, if I could say that an album of like wore a hole into a literal CD, it may have been Obsolete. It came out when I was the right age.
Yeah.
It just, and there's still nothing like it to this day. A lot of people don't like Fear Factory though because they have a little bit too much of the industrial like Nine Inch Nails sound.
Oh yeah.
Even though they don't really sound anything like them, but they kind of have that vibe. Obsolete's just fantastic. I just absolutely love it. Oh, we need to talk about Gojira. I forget about that.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a band too that every time I've heard them, I've vibed with it, but I've never gone out of my way to go listen to them.
Here's what I'm gonna say, and it's gonna make Gojira. They didn't really start doing their thing until their third album. I saw them before anybody knew who they were. I was standing in Pops with barely anybody there, talking to the drummer, like you know how I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you want to go meet Matt Greiner? Yeah. Okay. Come here. And then it's like we walk up to him and there he goes. Like Marie's, one of her favorite bands when we were dating was Me Without You. I was like, okay, watch this. And then I go, let's go over here right after they play. And the singer's just standing outside by himself in this spot. And we stood there and talked to the guy for like an hour. It was very interesting. Cool. Trying to think now, maybe should I get away from metal and try to see what other sophomore albums? I can't get away from metal. I'm a metalhead. I don't know, man. Who else is in my? Let me look at my bands real quick. It's not wanting to load, probably because I'm listening to it on the computer. I'm trying to think what other. I've been talking for over an hour, never played any music. I don't care.
Yeah, but I like getting you to nerd out about bands like this. It's fun.
Oh, I figured you probably.
Because like I
appreciate it.
like bands a lot too. Like music is very, very like. I think that as far as love of music, I can, keep pace with you on that. Now, knowledge of how to play it,
Yeah.
I'm out the window. So like I like nerding out about bands and stuff. You're much more versed in metal music than I am too.
I've been listening to it for so stinking long.
Like I said, I was like punk. My dad, he liked classic rock, as dads do. And I ended up getting in metal just because I was one of those kids that was like, I need it to be heavier. It needs to be heavier.
Yeah. It's got to be heavier. I can't think of anything else right now. Like, who else is on my list? Volumes, I don't really know. I like their new stuff. I think part of their thing was they finally got rid of some members that were toxic and kind of holding back what I think Daniel Bernstein
wanted to do.
And that new song is kind of about that. Did you see him talking about that? Yeah, they said it's kind of about the band getting sidelined for personal stuff that they wish they didn't let happen, and Sidewinder, and kind of the culture of the world, and just kind of putting to death all those things that have kind of caused you to be stagnant. So, yeah. I thought that was interesting because while I do appreciate old school Volumes, my interaction with that original singer was not pleasant. And then, because we opened for him back in the day.
Yeah.
That was not pleasant. And then, what else? Yeah, just because of him, I don't know. Like he came across as like a scrappy little angry guy, and that was driving their sound. It had this LA street kid vibe.
Yeah.
And it just never really fully grabbed me. But then when their rebirth, it's like, oh, he's gone now. And it's like, this is cool. I'm really starting to like this band, and I think that I'm really excited for a new album from them. But I can't put them on my list because I think most people, let me look at their discography. I think most people that are hardcore Volumes fans are gonna say that their sophomore album is indeed the best. Boy, this is hard to follow. When did they do an album? Like, this gives you an idea. I'm not going to name names on this, but in 2013, Volumes was reportedly banned from a Nashville venue because the vocalist dedicated a song to a gay friend. That's not what happened. Later, they found out the guy assaulted crowd members. He was fighting people.
Well, that's one way to spin a story.
And was using slurs. So to give you an idea of just, Oh, wait a minute. That's not the... That dude's still in the band? Oh, he left and came back.
Oh, so they're reuniting with the guy that...
Yeah. See, they're saying Daniel's not in the band anymore, and he's technically not, but think he still writes. I don't know. I'm confused. Who else? I only have a debut album. I never finished a sophomore album. It happens when you put stuff on hold for life, and then life hates you. Cool. What else?
How long have we been going?
We got 30 minutes left.
I was gonna say, I feel like I haven't really made as much progress as I usually do.
No, you haven't. And I haven't even played guitar at all tonight. And we didn't even get a chat bot, dude.
That's disappointing. That's the only thing I'm disappointed about.
Me
I was hoping
too,
we would
bro.
get at least one bot.
We got one bot. Gnarly. Can't really see it in this light right there. Forgot you had a tattoo.
Do you think I drew on myself or something?
No, I just every now and then forget you actually have a tattoo.
I want more. I just can't afford them.
I wonder what
They're expensive, dude.
I wonder what my favorite pageant security guard's doing.
Wonder if they got a show going on tonight.
Yeah, last night they had a rap concert.
Oh, cool. Who?
Pooya.
Pooya. Oh, dude. One of the ladies I work with, she said that, you know, she's a part of a wedding that like some things had to change because of personal problems and stuff like that. So they were trying to do an impromptu bachelorette party, and she said she's been really into trying to go to stand-up comedy shows, and she goes, I found one, and the guy's like not bad or whatever, and she said who it was, and I was like, wait, what's his name? And she said it again. I was like, dude, I'm like 99% sure that's the dude on Vine that went, you remember that girl that's like getting robbed, and then like some guy, she's like, help, he stole my purse, and that guy runs up and does a backflip off a wall, and she goes, he's getting away, and he goes, that backflip though.
Oh, King Batch.
Yes, that's who it is.
Oh.
He's coming to St. Louis, and he's doing like a show or whatever.
That's cool. Quindale was coming, or just came, or was coming. I don't know if you know who he is. Oh, that guy's hilarious. That's the guy that I sent you a reel, and he said, what did he say? He goes, so we buried my grandma last week, and everybody kind of says something like that. He goes, yeah, so she's probably dead.
Dude. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
He's funny, man.
Dude, when people have those like delayed, like subversion of expectation like jokes, that kills me.
Yep.
Get me every time.
Yeah. Did you ever hear of the ancient society that never got angry? They were nomads.
Oh, nomads.
That's it.
I missed that one. It was right in front of me.
My buddy David lost his ID, so he's just Dave now.
I told one to my coworkers this weekend. They got mad at me. It was, and I'm not gonna get as loud as I did because the punchline is very loud. You probably know this joke too, but it's. Do you know what Whitney Houston's favorite form of coordination is?
You did it. You did it to me once.
That's an obnoxious one, but man, is it funny. And it is not what they call a crowd pleaser either. Nobody likes that joke. You got to get loud to deliver it. We'll I was closing this week with somebody, and I was like, I kept singing different songs, and I was changing the song I was singing as we were walking out and like doing closing stuff every like couple minutes. And she was like, "How do you have that song stuck in your head?" And I said, "At any given moment, there are 12 songs concurrently playing in my head."
You're like a Daft Punk remix.
Yeah. Oh, dude, did I send you that or not?
No, I've seen so many of those though.
Where
how they make those.
How they make it? Yeah, they did.
It's to me. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of cool, but at the same time, I'm like, man, all that work. You should have just made the. You know what I mean? You could have just.
No, yeah,
you could have just made the song.
100%. I get what you're saying there because, like, but the thing is like, there's some like they never pick the parts out that I would. You know what I mean?
No.
Like when if I listened to that and I was trying to make the same beat that they were, I would have picked completely different parts.
Yeah.
But it's what they hear and what they make out of it always blows my mind.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why those are super interesting to me.
They're very talented when it comes to that. But then at the same time, all that work, it's like, whoa. You know, you'll find this music factoid pretty interesting. You know who the most sampled drummer is on the earth?
Michael Jackson's drummer, isn't it?
No, that's a misconception. A lot of people say that. James Brown.
Oh.
James Brown drummer is the most sampled drummer on the face of the earth. Because all of the original hip-hop guys, and their beats have been recycled over and over again.
Yep.
We're using them. Dr. Dre was like, I mean, the dude is so in the pocket. But the Michael Jackson guy, I think, gets thrown around.
I feel like I've heard somebody say that, which is why I repeated it. But that's usually what I do with information. I just throw it back out there with no fact checking.
Yep.
Just kidding.
Clyde Stubblefield.
What a name, dude.
I know.
Did I tell you that I just made my grid, like, so that immaculate grid game that I play?
Yes.
Yeah. My dad didn't even realize I did that. My brother saw it and he showed it to a coworker and they died laughing about it. But then I asked my dad if he saw my grid and he was like, yeah, I saw it. And then I was like, you didn't see who I put in? He was like, yeah, Eddie Goodell, which is, he was like a little person that played. He only had one at bat ever recorded, and it was a 4-pitch walk. He used, actually, fun fact, he was with the St. Louis Browns, who are now the Baltimore Orioles, and they didn't have a jersey small enough for him, so they borrowed it from the Bat Boy, who is now the owner of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Wow.
Well, I think the technical owner of the St. Louis Cardinals is his son now, but the dude's still alive. Anyways, so I put him on there, and then I was just like, I don't know, I'm not gonna find like obscure people like that. I'm just gonna put funny names. So like, there's a guy named Butts Wagner.
Yeah.
And so like, it was just a bunch of names. There's a guy named Steel Arm Dicky. Like that's just a good name. So I made him read them in front of me, and he started laughing because he finally realized what I did.
One of the most iconic sports, if you want to say, name was that NASCAR guy, Dick Trickle. Sadly, he unalived himself.
Dude, that's so... The Eddie Goodell guy that I just told you about? I told my other coworkers about him, and he was like, okay. So he Googled him, and he goes, oh, he got followed home from a bowling alley and beat to death. I was like, oh my gosh. I had no idea. Like, I thought he probably just died peacefully in his home, you know? I didn't want to know that. That's horrible.
Nice. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. My dad signed up for YouTube Music, and the first thing it recommended him listen to was my music.
That's amazing.
That's weird. I don't know how that happened. I haven't played some of those songs since I recorded that album 10 years ago. 10 years old. Jeez. That doesn't seem right. I have a missing album. It's on an old computer and in a burned CD that's probably destroyed and lost by now that I kind of wish I would have put out. There's some of my best material. It was just me too. And an old Jackson guitar I had tuned to drop G. That stuff was gnarls. Barkley. as far as heavy goes.
It was crazy.
It was heavy.
There's that band that keeps, and I think you follow them on Instagram now, but there's that band that it's literally just a drummer with like a drummer and a bass player with like a distortion pedal, and they make just constant. Their music's basically constant, like groovy breakdowns.
Oh no! You're talking about Morgan Ogren,
Maybe.
and that's him.
What do you mean?
He hooked a kick drum pedal to a bass guitar.
No, because it's a bass player and a drummer, and they video themselves
Oh
playing.
no, I know what you mean. The young guys from Australia.
Probably, yeah.
They're in like a rock band.
Yeah, it's just them two.
He's got one of those baritone guitars like I have, the 30-inch scale.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's something like that.
Yes, them guys are good.
Some of the stuff that they play, I'm like, jeez. I didn't mean to joke. Whoops.
I was watching part of our last live stream, and the part that made me laugh was when you talking about. You remember when they invented electricity? That's actually a pretty funny moment. I was like, yeah, of course I remember when they invented electricity.
Oh man. Yeah, sometimes I just be saying things, dude.
You're thinking about cutting the hairs.
Yep. Just with summer coming up and all that.
You know what? I'm not trying to sound like it's about time or something like that, but as often as you wear it up,
Yeah.
I kind of am just like, yeah, you might as well just get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly. That's how I feel about it.
I'm tempted to get rid of mine, but my kids told me I can't do that or shave my beard. They don't like looking at old pictures of me.
I remember when I was a kid and my dad shaved his mustache, and I had only ever known him to have a mustache that, like, me and my sister, like, I was like probably 6, and I cried.
Like, I'm not kidding you. If I get my hair cut short, I'm not gonna go exactly like that. But when I was telling you,
Yeah.
I might go
Like Brad Pitt from Fury.
I might go that route.
It's not a bad route to go in my book.
Yeah. Yep, Brad Pitt from Fury. That's Chris D'Elia had a clip that he posted that I kind of got a kick out of, and he's like, aside from my least favorite movie line, which is after the guy asks the chick out and she goes, "I'd like that." He's like, that's his least favorite movie line. He goes, the next one is when they look at a guy that's the most handsome person you've ever seen with a little bit of dirt on his face, and they go, "Man, you look like Ish." He's like, no, he doesn't. And his rant after that was pretty funny. I know I told you I was going to be committed to the hood because I didn't want to, like, draw attention to the fact that I'm a human being sitting here. But I can't lie to you, I feel more comfortable not having all those extra clothes on when it's not winter. And I don't mind the look that I got going on here.
Yeah.
right now because I do look kind of like you can tell I work out and I like that. I'm still stoked. I'm 215 pounds, and I mean, I'm not like I'm lean compared to 98% of humans, but I'm definitely not, fitness influencer lean. But man, I'm stoked, dude. Can't tell you how happy I am. Everything's going the right direction. I feel like I'm almost to the point where I don't need Birdo anymore. I'm almost there. I think I've got maybe another year, so maybe another 4 sessions out of him, and then I probably won't re-up. That'll be it.
Graduate.
The Birdo season is over. He knows that. He that's his philosophy. He doesn't want you
Be forever dependent on him.
Yes, he wants you, and I love that. That's if this thing gets going and we have this mentorship role, and we have this make yourself better for the sake of having fun, like that thought I sent you today. I was just sitting there thinking about that because I was listening to a couple of guys talking about young men needing help and self-improvement, just the same stuff we're talking about, which is a big reason that's inspired us to try to want to do this.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there listening to all the reasons why, all the reasons to help society, and all the reasons to help the function of government, and all the reasons to further the humanity so that you have a family and kids, and all the reasons to, that women want men that are focused, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to all that, and I'm like, I think we're tired of hearing that because. And at the risk of sounding selfish, it's because it's like even still, the self-improvement for anybody else is about self. The self-improvement market for men still seems to be an emphasis on you.
What people can get out of you being better.
For someone else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not why I do it. And then I got there sitting and thinking, and it was that thought that came to me, and I had been thinking about it for a couple hours before I sent it to you, and I was like, man, I really actually do like this. It's just because it's fun. I enjoy the summer that we spent going through all the Stoic writings and learning about those guys. I enjoy upgrading my fitness. I enjoy reconnecting with my musical abilities and wanting to play guitar more. I enjoy just getting better it's just fun. The process is fun.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be that? And then the other things are added to you. And then I got to thinking as how much more I like that is it seems like it's born from a biblical concept. Seek first the kingdom and these things will be added to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, that even fits into that mojo, that biblical concept. Seek first the kingdom, and these things will be added. Yeah, better yourself, and then it's inevitable that you'll be better for society. It's inevitable that you'll be better for a potential mate. It's inevitable that you'll be a better friend. It's inevitable that you'll be a better soldier or employee. It's inevitable. The other things that will happen, it's making that self-improvement the focus, and then I'm like, it's fun. I don't know. I just always thought it was fun. What's the point in always staying the same and being the same? Learn more, do more.
I can't find the one I want to use.
I sent Brian a screenshot of that. Uncrustables hanging out of a whiskey. And he said, fire, smash. I switched to this camera angle while I was talking to Berto with everything set up exactly like it is right now, and he was really into it.
Good.
He was like, "What do you got going on?" And I go, on Friday nights. I didn't say that exactly what we do yet. And I said, on Friday nights, my buddy draws for now, but eventually we'll paint also. And I kind of do music with him. He goes, "It's just you hanging out on a Friday night with your homie?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That sounds actually awesome." And he's like, "You guys just make art together like that in that setup?" I go, "Yeah." He said, "I've been spending too much time." This is him, not me, but I could resonate it. He goes, "I've been spending too much time writing my book that everybody keeps going, when's your book coming out?"
Yep. That's why I don't tell people things.
You know, I don't disagree with that. And then sometimes I like to tell somebody so that they kind of prod you.
I like accountability, don't get me wrong, but at the same time,
we should be grown enough to hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's the guy. That's kind of always how I felt about it. But yeah. He said, he goes, "Believe it or not, I've got the hard parts of the book finished." He goes, "I just can't do the intro right." So I'm doing his intro. He goes, "Why don't you do the thing that I was gonna write as my intro chapters about, and when you come back, you're gonna help me and report back on how it worked for you to see what happens." I think I'm locked in. I'm making less what I would consider emotionally charged and emotional impulse driven decisions on my eating, having stuck to this for 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Making sure I eat at the same time of day, and that it's pretty much the same meal.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hitting my macros all week. But that's the thing too, is like, you know how I've been doing that like every 2 hours to try and get at least 20 grams of protein?
Yeah.
That makes me hungrier more consistently throughout the day too, it's so funny because I know that that's good and I know what's happening there. But it's so funny because I'll just fall off of it for whatever reason. I'll have a busy day and I won't do it or whatever. But then when I'm like, man, I really got to get back together, I go through all that, like, well, I got to do this. Like, dude, start with that and just see because I've dropped a little bit of weight, but not like anything like super impressive.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been doing this for 2 weeks now and everything, but it's just funny how like it's good and it works, and then like I'll fall out of it, and then it takes so much for me to get, back on track. I overthink it.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, with where I'm at in my fitness journey, I know the things to do. I know what to do. You know what I mean?
You just got to do it.
You just got to do it. I haven't learned anything insanely new. I'm always learning things, but I haven't learned anything monumental in a long time. Got to do stuff.
I have, and what it is that I was doing too much volume, and then I know what I got to eat, how I got to eat more. I was doing way too much volume. I mean, I am growing again. I'm making extraordinary strength gains again, and then they're consistent and they're dependable, and it's reliable, and it's awesome. And it was this. I don't train more than 3 days a week.
How much time we got left?
Pretty much over.
Dude, I'm gonna pick this up and just do it again next week. Cause this is fun.
To be honest with you, if you didn't mention how much time we got left, I was just gonna let you keep going.
Oh, really?
I mean, I wasn't gonna stop it. I was just gonna see how long you went before you were like, I'm done. So, I mean, you can stop in 5 minutes if you want, which is our normal length.
Yeah.
Or if you want to keep going longer, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to bed immediately. I feel honestly pretty good.
No, I'm getting to the part where the biggest chunk of this would probably be fun to watch for a viewer too.
Okay, so you want to...
So I kind of want to hold that off and then just do it next week.
And really let it
just kind of like...
all of a sudden blossom.
Yeah.
Cool, because I'll make a song for the guy. I know he probably already has music, but that's what I was going to do. So... yeah, we got 4 minutes left. This is getting easier. It's getting more natural. It's cool. So tomorrow, the Avalanche, huh? And we got what is the possibility of a 12-game win streak?
Yeah, it'll be a
what they're looking
12-game. And now the Avalanche, I think, since the Four Nations tournament, the Blues have the best record in the NHL, and the Avalanche have the second best record in the NHL.
We ended their 10-game win streak, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that's going on in hockey right now is Ovechkin.
He still plays?
Yeah, he just scored again tonight.
Isn't he in his early 40s?
Yeah. He's 2 goals away from tying Wayne Gretzky for goals.
Oh.
Which is cool, but also insane that he's nowhere near him in points, because even if you took, so you know how like hockey, how many points you have goes by assists and goals? Even if you took so Wayne Gretzky is the points leader of NHL history. Even if you took away all of his goals, he would still be the points leader in NHL history.
Wow.
And he at this point, Ovechkin is about possibly going to pass him, but at this point, he's also the goals leader.
Well, I mean, his approach works so well, hanging out behind the net. That was him, wasn't it? They called it his office, right? Isn't that what it was?
I can't remember
Am I thinking of Gretzky?
I don't remember if Gretzky did. He had a really good wrist shot.
I knew one of the guys was known. I can't remember who it is then. That was known for hanging out behind the goal, which is a common strategy.
Well, especially in the era he played. People don't really do it so much anymore.
Okay.
But the coolest thing about the Ovechkin, I forgot to say this. The coolest thing about the Ovechkin thing is he is on pace to score the same amount of goals as Wayne Gretzky in the exact same amount of games played. That's the thing that's like, what?
Man, I don't remember when Ovechkin was hot. I guess he still is.
I mean, he's still pretty good. His problem, like, he's won the cup, but his problem was like he played his whole career with Washington.
Yeah.
And they had a few years where they were not very good. But his other problem was that he had a lot of years where they were really good, but they're in the same conference as the Penguins with Sidney Crosby.
Ooh.
So that's been like the unbelievable rivalry, is like seeing which one of them's going to, if they both made the playoffs, they always end up playing each other, and it's like which one's going to knock out who. And I think
Crosby just had a better team also.
I think Crosby's won three cups.
And he's a little more of a he's not as aggressive as Ovechkin.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, he plays dirty, but
he's not quite as
he's not as a bruiser. Like Ovechkin's a thick dude.
Yeah. Man, is it Ovechkin's mom that was a Olympic figure skater?
I think so.
I think it was Ovechkin's mom.
Yeah.
What's his first name?
Alex
Ovechkin.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Alexander Ovechkin or it's just Alex.
It might
Ovechkin.
be Alexander.
He is Russian.
Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, big dude.
Yeah, Alexander Ovechkin. He's 39 and he's already fully gray.
Yeah. Stress, man. Stress will get you.
6'3".
Yeah, How much does he weigh though? So that's the thing too that's funny about like hockey dudes is he's 6'3", but on skates he's 6'5" probably.
He weighs as much as you do, and he's 6'3".
So he's an inch taller than me and weighs the same.
Yeah. That's it, brother. We got another one down in the books. It was good hanging out. I'm going to turn this music off, and I'm going to shut down the stream.